So tomorrow there are 3 companies that are going to be reporting earnings before the market opens. And I thought that you should know what the market is expecting when it comes down to what they are going to be reporting and also where these stocks are currently trading. I really hope that you learned something new. And if you do, please consider dropping a thumbs up and subscribing if you feel like we earned it. Also, if you want to tune on into my live trading session tomorrow, that's going to be the second link in the description down below. Without further ado, the first one that we're going to be talking about today is Verizon. Verizon, GM, and 3M actually report tomorrow, Tuesday, before the market opens. For those that are not aware, big companies are starting to report earnings this week. The Magnificent Seven are really going to start reporting earnings next week. Just something to be aware of. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. VZ is testing previous highs of $44 to $45 per share. It's been incredibly bullish for 2024. As you can see that we pretty much kicked off the year already in this bullish rally with higher highs, higher lows, above the moving average, above the EMA, and the momentum has not stopped. So again, when it comes down to these companies reporting earnings, you not only want to exceed expectation when it comes down to what they actually report, but also the second part, and in my opinion, the most important part, is guidance. What's to come, not just for what has already happened, and that's what they are reporting based off of the previous quarter, but what is the expectation for up and coming quarters? Because again, that can really excite or deter a lot of current or potential new investors. So again, we need to make sure that big companies that are reporting earnings have good forecasts for 2025 as we come to an end for 2024. On the technical side, is Verizon cheap? Well, no, technically, not necessarily. We came from lows of $28 to overall highs of $44, but market sentiment is incredibly bullish for Verizon. Again, it's easier to make money when the trend is bullish than it is to hope for something to recover. So we have to give it that. That being said, also, this is the market's expectation. It has an earnings per share expectation of $1.18 and revenue at $33.44 billion. Now, if any of these come in a little bit lower than what is expected and Verizon misses when it comes down to guidance, then you could expect a potential drop. If they come in higher than what was expected and guidance comes in better than what was expected, then we can see a sudden pop. This is why by the time that the market opens, you will most likely see Verizon significantly in the green or significantly in the red. So I'm very excited to follow up to see how it actually ends up trading. General Motors has a very similar setup where towards the end of 2023, it was selling off and then it began to recover and has had an amazing 2024. Now, again, this has had a pretty bearish 2022 and 2023. But as you can see from overall lows of $26 to its current highs of around $49 to $50, I would say it has a pretty solid resistance at 50. It's up about 80 to 90%. So an incredible year for General Motors when it comes down to percent growth. Now, it's always important to look at the big picture. General Motors has really retraced from the highs that it made in 2022, right? We've retraced from there and it's been trying to recover since then. You can see that the old support on the technical side is acting as a new resistance, and we will see by the time that it reports earnings tomorrow based off of investing.com's and market's expectation. It has an EPS of $1.09. That is for 3M. For General Motors, it is $2.40 per share for its earnings per share, and its revenue is $44.74 billion. Remember, it's important to pay attention to what it's reporting, but it's even more important to pay attention to the sentiment. What is the guidance? What is the expectation for up and coming quarters? This will begin to make more sense when you begin to pay more attention to a specific company and what investors are forecasting that they want this company to continue to do. You'll see this happen very often where people will dissect an earnings and overall forecast expectation for Google, for Nvidia, for Apple. Those more, I would say, really more important companies to the overall market, the more influential they carry more weight to overall markets and indexes. They really get dissected by big investors, big analysts, and if just one thing doesn't come in as expected, then again, we really see the stock itself possibly overreact on the downside. So it's a really, I would say, unique time paying attention to these specific stocks because there is so much volatility. And you'll see, right, in the next few days, even with this, within the next few hours, you'll see that by the time the market opens tomorrow, we will see GM either slightly in the green or significantly in the red. And the last one that I quickly want to talk about is 3M. 3M actually gapped up the last time it reported earnings, if I'm not mistaken. And if we look at this on the day chart, it's been gapping up and holding up here ever since then. It would have been an expectation that when something gaps up very quickly that, oh, okay, it was previously selling off, maybe it's going to sell off once again, but no, it looks incredibly strong. It's holding very well up here at 135. And when it comes down to its forecast for tomorrow for 3M, EPS is $1.90 per share and revenue is right around $6 billion. But remember, it's not just about the earning reports. There's a lot of companies that sometimes report worse than expected earnings. But if their guidance for up and coming quarters is better, and if investors like what their executives are doing and forecasting for up and coming quarters, then the company can actually skyrocket even if it reports a worse than expected earnings. Again, it's a very weird thing to talk about, but it makes more sense when you begin to pay a little bit more attention to it. So we definitely will be covering these stocks after they report earnings during tomorrow's live trading session. Remember, these are just a few of the companies that are reporting earnings tomorrow and only a few of that are reporting this week. So again, if you're invested or thinking about investing in any stock this week especially, please make sure that you become aware of, is the company reporting earnings? And if so, to create a plan of action of how much exposure you want to have when it comes down to what you are putting at risk. It's a very risky time to be invested or a very risky time to be trading. It doesn't mean that you have to be scared. I just don't want you to be surprised, right? So I'll see you for tomorrow's live trading session. To tune on in, it's the second link in the description down below, and we'll see you then. Take care, team.